Good evening and welcome back to Leadership TKO, the night show via podcast. I'm your host, Lakeisha McKnight. Glad to be here tonight. It's about 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm just excited to be here tonight. And so we have a couple of things that we're going to be addressing, but if you're new to this podcast, I want to say welcome to you specifically. I'm going to actually be highlighting a few of the countries that have been connected to Leadership TKO for the last 6 months. But what I'm going to do is I am going to share on a special group that we have on Facebook and let the members of this group know that we're live, because we actually are providing some updates about a special movement that has started through this brand. And so we want to let the members of this group know that we're live so that they can listen in as well. All right. So what I'm typing right now as I'm talking with you is join me on the podcast platform. I am live. Okay. All right. So again, thank you so much for each and every one of you being here on tonight. Remember, this podcast, normally we used to be here just on Mondays at 9 o'clock p.m. and we primarily did it via live stream on Facebook, but then we shifted because there are some people who wanted to listen in live as they were on the go. And so we included also a podcast version because we had access to podcasts anyway. The lovely thing about this is that, we're able to connect with so many of you listeners who are on iHeartRadio and various places around the world. So again, thank you so very much for being here. So before I even give background about this podcast, I'm definitely going to shout out a couple of countries that I've taken note of that I've been following this brand and, of course, this podcast. So let me go. I actually took a screenshot. I wanted to make sure that I highlighted each and every country that have been predominantly involved over the last 6 months. And so I'm going to, of course, give you some words of encouragement as well, even after I name the countries. Okay. So for those of you, of course, throughout the United States, we want to thank you so much for listening in and being connected to this podcast, whether live or on demand. We thank you so very much. Those of you in South Africa, you have been faithful listeners connected to this podcast. We thank you so very much. Thank you for those of you throughout Canada. Canada, you have been faithful listeners, faithful women and a few good men who have been listening into this podcast. Thank you so much. Those of you in the Philippines, thank you so much. Those of you in the Philippines, we appreciate you. I do have some Filipino friends, and my mother does as well, as we are originally from up north in New Jersey. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you in the Philippines who have been connected. All right. Those of you in the Netherlands, thank you so very much. I look forward, of course, to one day getting there to the Netherlands. So if you want to invite me out there to come and empower your women there, let's get to it. Let's make it happen. All right. For those of you in the United Kingdom, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you. But I thank you so much for being connected to this podcast as well and this brand. Those of you in Greece, we want to recognize and highlight you. Oh, my goodness. Greece, listen, I look forward to being there one day. And if you have some women who need some empowerment, let's get to it. Let's make it happen as well. Those of you in the Republic of Korea, listen, you have made the mark. You have made your voice known, of course, your presence known, I should say, via the podcast. Now, we definitely want to hear from you and hear your voice. So continue to be listening in. And I'm going to give you some directives on how to continue to get connected to this podcast, as well as to the movement that we have started. So thank you so much for those of you in the Republic of Korea. Those of you in the Virgin Islands, thank you so very much for being connected. And last but certainly not least, we thank those of you in Hungary. Thank you so very much for those of you there. We do recognize that there are some of you from other countries that joined in. I believe it was Sweden. We also had members from Norway, right? And so many other places. Again, we thank you. I think we even saw Barbados up there during one occasion. So again, thank you so very much for those of you who have been tuned in to this podcast. It's meant a lot to me because it lets me know that you care about the topic and you want to become better leaders. So even if you're listening in right now, don't hesitate to let me know that you're alive. We know that we do have faithful listeners to the podcast. So if you're listening in right now, go ahead and there's a chat feature or a comments feature. Go ahead and say, hey, Lakeisha, I'm here. I'm live. Even if you're listening to the replay, say, hey, Lakeisha, I stopped in. I listened to the replay. That lets me know specifically who is connected and who is being involved. So again, thank you so much for being present and being involved here with this podcast show. And it's good to be engaging, right? So, I don't just have one person just doing a whole lot of talking. I can provide you with some ideas and thoughts that other people provide while here on the platform. And I do have some good news to share with you before I go into the background about this podcast. The good news is that we've been given the approval to turn, of course, this podcast into a radio station. That means we'll be able to play, if we wanted to, we'll be able to play this 24/7. We can schedule in, we can give you motivation, inspiration 24/7. And we're looking forward to potentially exploring that as we transition into the month of June. So stay tuned. We may have some updates about that. All right. So those of you who are connected here to the podcast, Leadership TKO is a brand that's housed under the limited liability company entitled the International Leadership Education and Development Company. Now, with that company, right, the mission of the company, of course, the brand, is to partner up with small businesses, associations, as well as universities to build winning leaders. How do we do that? We do that by way of webinars and teleseminars. We do that by way of coaching and consulting, VIP events, as well as conventions. These are the avenues that we use so that we can build winning leaders. So again, thank you. And if you want to learn more about this brand and about the company, visit www.leadershiptko.com. So Leadership TKO. TKO stands for Truths That Have Kept the Overcomer. We know that there are some principles that are consistent across the board that helps us to really grow as leaders. And so what you're learning, which you've probably learned if you listen to the past episodes, we do have some past episodes where I went into talking about some of the foundational truths. There are about 12 of them that we reference as a part of Leadership TKO and the foundational leadership truths. So we'd love for you to go back and listen to those previous episodes. But the best thing to note is that we are going to be publishing it in a book format. We're going to be doing that really soon. The goal is I'm going to give you a date. Okay. And here's the thing. I'm going to give you a date tomorrow. Oh, yes. I'm going to give you an official date as of tomorrow for the Leadership TKO book. I know you hear about the brand. Now it's time for you to get the book. So it lays a solid, strong foundation as to what we have going on. All right. Now, many of you, of course, on Facebook and our private group there, you all are connected to a movement. Many of you are listening to this because of the movement that has started. And the movement, which is the Born to Lead movement, is where women are boldly rising up, allowing their voices to be heard, to declare that they are women and that they were born to lead. They are women and they're born to lead. This campaign is being led through the subdivision entitled Leadership TKO for Women. Now, there are various elements to this subdivision. The first element is a book. Of course, we have some other elements. We would love for you to go to the website to learn more about these other elements. Now, the book is going to be released in the month of August of this summer. So stay tuned. I want to say within the next 7 to 14 days, we're going to give you the date that the book is going to be released in the bookstores. And we would love for you to go to your local bookstore to grab a copy, a physical copy of the book. Okay, the goal, here's our goal. I'm not ashamed to mention what the goal is. Our goal, we want to be a New York Times best-selling book, but we know that we can't do that without your help. We need you during the week that we tell you to go out there and get a copy of the book. That's going to help us to reach the goal of transforming lives, right, through the concepts that we share, myself and 5 other women. Okay, let me share with you what those 5 other women's are. Okay, their names: Takara Steele, Okay, this is our future doctor. She probably doesn't know that I'm mentioning that. Takara Steele, as she's soon going to be a future doctor, right? She's studying and finishing up in school. So Takara Steele, we have Shalia McDaniel. We also have Cheryl Harris Sutton. We have Maricela Messner, and then also Dr. Remy Douillet. So these other women have joined in with me to make this subdivision possible. And we released and we launched this subdivision, okay? We launched this subdivision at the end of February, early March. End of February, early March. That's what we did. We launched this subdivision there, and we launched it actually in Bangkok. This is where I went to a leadership conference and we launched it there. And so we're having a huge celebration about this subdivision at the convention, right? We have an upcoming convention this coming Saturday, May 27th. And the doors open at 9:45. We would love to see you there in Portsmouth, Virginia, in the United States at this convention. Now, we are giving a little bit of a gift. It's a $125 gift. When you go to the website, LeadershipTKOConvention.com. Again, that website is LeadershipTKOConvention.com. When you go to that website and you begin to fill out registration to attend the event, you're going to see an area that says promotional or discount code. Be sure to enter in Mother's Day. That's the code. Mother's Day. No capital letters, no spaces, no apostrophes. Enter the code and you're going to get a $125 gift completely on me and the company. Okay, so be sure to do that. We would love to see you there at the convention. We're going to be celebrating. We've been updating inside of the group what we've done, our progress and getting ready for this event. And I'm super excited. We're going to be making a lot of noise. We have some party noise makers. We have, of course, our beads, our Mardi Gras beads, and so many other great things. We're going to have a blast. Okay, so you don't want to miss this convention. This is going to be a lot of fun. All right. So be sure to grab your ticket. LeadershipTKOConvention.com is the website where you want to go. So even as you're listening to this episode tonight, if you found everything to be helpful or anything specifically to be helpful, we'd love for you to like this episode. There should be a heart nearby where you can click the button and like the episode. That lets us know that you've been following along. And that you've liked what you've heard so far. All right. So that's what that's what we have going on. We have this this convention coming up. We have the campaign that's going on. And if you want to learn all of the elements about the campaign, again, be sure to visit www.leadershiptkoforwomen.com. Now, many of you may want to just jump in there and just say, hey, Lakeisha, I just want to connect to the campaign. I want to be on board. I'm totally supportive of what you're doing. I agree with it. And so I definitely encourage you to do that. Visit www.borntolead2017.com to get quickly and directly involved. Again, the spelling for that is www.borntolead2017.com. That is the way you can get directly involved from whatever country you're living in right now. We would love for you to be involved. Okay. Doesn't matter if you speak another language, get involved. We can get a translator. We can get someone from, that speaks that language to translate what we're doing. We never want you to feel as though you can't be involved because of some type of barrier. We would love for you to get connected. So this week, let me just transition now. This week, we're talking about a topic pertaining to a lot of women. Many women experience this. We don't really talk about it too much. Some mention it in different settings. And the topic is burnout. Burnout. Yeah, you heard it correctly. Burnout. Now, I did post a message inside of the Facebook group. I want to see, of course, if I can access it. And I mentioned what burnout is truly all about, or at least a way to think about what burnout is. And I want to see if I can pull it up for you, even as I'm talking with you right now, because this is huge. It's really huge because many women experience this, but we don't deal with it. We don't talk about it. And sometimes we try to ignore it, but we can't ignore it because this is huge. This is something that we experience a lot of, but we don't really acknowledge it too much. And so let me pull it up a different way. Okay, here it is. Burnout is not about giving too much of yourself. It's about trying to give what you do not possess. So it's not about doing so much. A lot of times we think about burnout as, oh, you do so much till you're tired and you're done. You're just completely done. You can't do anymore. Well, another way of looking at it is you're trying to give what you don't have. So in other words, it's like you're already depleted and then you're trying to give more. That's like saying, you have a child and you have some, let's just say pizza, and the child wants pizza, right? And so you give them the last slice, and then you're giving them some other stuff, and that's not even what the child wants. The child, you're supposed to be giving the child pizza, but you're giving them something that you don't have. You don't have any more pizza, but you're steady feeding the child. So here's the thing. We have to stop as women. We have to stop because we have so many roles, so many hats we put on every single day, 24/7, right? Especially if you're a mom and you're a wife. We have a lot of roles and it's a lot of responsibility. Can we just be real for a moment? It's a lot. But we have to realize that when we get to that point, when we're tired, we need to give our mind and our bodies rest. And I'm talking to myself as well. I can't exclude myself from this. This is something I talk to myself about as well. Yes, talk to myself about because I have to give myself a warning. So, because one thing I note is that if you don't sit yourself down, your body finds a way to sit you down. Okay. It may not be whether you want to go down, but your body is saying, okay, I'm shutting down in 3, 2, 1, right? And you're done. Okay. It's gonna happen if you don't listen to, and your body sometimes gives you clues. When that thought comes into your mind as though, man, I'm tired, you need to sit down. If your brain is scrambled and it's too much for you, and everyone knows their limit, you may have a different limit than your sister or your friend or your aunt. You know your limit and you have to sit it down and give it a rest. Okay, that you have to. This is the only way that we're going to be of good for our families, for our spouses, for our careers, and all others that we're going to be serving from this point forward. So it's critical. It's really critical for you to sit yourself down and before your body sits you down. Avoid burnout. Don't try to give out something you don't have, whether it's energy. Okay, and most times it's energy. Your mind, right? Your ideas, whatever it may be. Relax. Relax. All right. Well, we have come to the end. I wanted to do a little bit of an introduction on burnout. We're going to get into some other great aspects and elements of burnout in various settings. We're going to talk about burnout in organizations, burnout as an entrepreneur, what it looks like, and what are some things that we can do to avoid this? What are some things that we can do when we experience burnout? Okay, so we're going to get into this throughout the course of this week. And of course, we are counting down to the convention. There are about 6 days left. Super duper excited. Hopefully to see you there in Portsmouth, Virginia at the Village Church of Portsmouth. No, it's not a church event, right? That's the venue where we're going to be having it at because it's suitable, right? It's professional. The seats are comfortable. There's an area for children, right? So if you have children, don't let that be the excuse that you can't be there because there is a child-friendly room. As long as you bring another adult. Okay, listen to me, what I'm saying. Bring another adult or someone who is mature who can watch the child in the child-friendly room. You can't just bring your child in there and leave them there. You have to have someone else there with the child to accompany the child. Okay, so you can't just leave the child there. We don't have a babysitter on deck. Okay. We may plan that for future events, but for Saturday's event, we don't have a child care provider at the event for Saturday. But again, I just say thank you so much for being connected. Be sure again to join the campaign by visiting www.born2lead 2017.com. Look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group to give you some more information. When you do go to that website, it's a questionnaire. Takes 2 minutes to complete. It's going to take you to the Facebook group where you will request to join the group. When you're in the group, we're going to let you know about leadership opportunities. We're going to let you know about ways to grow your business through the campaign. We're going to let you know about upcoming trainings and so much more. So there's so much that you can learn once you get inside of the group. But thank you so much for listening. We're coming back here tomorrow night at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're also looking forward to an interview on Thursday through the global reality show for the Born to Lead campaign. So I'm excited to announce who this great lady is going to be. Of course, it's Shanice Collins. Yes, Shanice Collins, the author, speaker. She is a coach as well. So we look forward, of course, to speaking and hearing more about this great young lady. You'll be able to learn what truly motivated her to publish an upcoming book. Actually, she's published a book already. Okay, she's published the book already. What motivated her to publish this book that we're going to talk about on Thursday as well. So be sure to come back here tomorrow as we're going to continue on with talking about burnout as it pertains to women. But until then,